everything. Uh, there we go. So I believe my sample is running. Yes, zangu zimeamka. So in case you get this, kama Britain, maybe you are a dev, you might have installed something to do with the NetBeans or Eclipse or anything to do with Java and C++. They might be installed. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, one of them. You can install MySQL, so MySQL won't start. So after umestatisha your SAMP, just to confirm whether it's running, go to localhost, just localhost. Go. It will load this page, localhost, dashboard. Then what you can do, you can also go to PHP myadmin to confirm that MySQL is working. There we go. So my MySQL is working. Otherwise, everything is good so far. How do you run your project? So you need to find your sample installation directory or the directory that has your sample. For my case, it's under there. This is the directory of sample. Maybe Jeremy, tell us your directory of sample. Start from local disk C. C sample. Um, or under the sample folder. Yeah, that's the thing. So the moment you know where your sample is, just go there, identify a folder called htdocs. Yes, that's where you should be writing all your PHP code. So for this case, we had started some code here. Iko wapi hiyo? Ihi. Ah, uh, sasa, oh, here we go. Nope. I start another folder. So I'll call this one LSD a project like that. Then I'm going to right click open this with my favorite IDE. So you might be using PHP Storm for PHP specifically, or you might be using um, VS Code. So I've gone with Sublime Text. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do an index.php file. Oh, by the way, we had a project that we were just to continue building over, but we shall use it later. Okay, so how do I run my project on the web? We shall go there, but for now, let's just do some markup of HTML. Yes. Oh, hizo ni command. Okay, the reason as to why I did those is that by default Linux, that's the OS ya Linux inakujanga na vitu zenye ziko pre-installed. For example, it comes with a live server, not a live server really, but a server that's Apache to be specific, and it comes installed with MySQL because there are other processes that need MySQL and Apache. So whenever you install another service that relies on MySQL or Apache, then you need to stop the original or the pre-installed services. They are called services. You could take them as software. So since it has MySQL and Apache and they are both running, like they are active, I need to stop them before I do or run these other instances because these ones are standalone or they're only linked to SAMP. So if I want to run MySQL on SAMP, then I need to stop MySQL on Linux. That's what I did. So sudo service MySQL stop. Those commands are specific to Linux. on on Windows, you could try to do the same using PowerShell, not the CMD, though it's more complex. So kustopisha service using PowerShell is not easy because you have to find the entire path to that service, unless that service has an alias, okay, or a link to the path of your environment path. Yeah, sijui nimejibu swali yako. Yes. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just redo this part. So now let's go with Jeremy's computer. Jeremy, kindly present your screen. Jeremy, wow, yeah, ameswim. Ala, sawa. Ah, okay. Thank you. So unaona ka huyu sambi yake amestatisha tu services mbili, Apache and MySQL. We are not using FileZilla, Mercury and Tomcat. Those are other servers such as Apache. I can say for sure, yeah, I'm not sure what's FileZilla, Mercury and Tomcat. All I know they are kind of servers on their own. So go to your file explorer under your SAM folder. Yeah, so htdocs iko wapi? There we go. So most of what you'll be seeing ni hiyo interface ka yake. So there, right click, create a new folder, call it your first project, sort of. Hey. Okay, due to the naming convention, let's go with all small case and no numbers. Project dash one. Okay, that one is good. Project one. Okay, we sasa una confuse vitu hapa. Sawa. Yeah. By the way, just keep everything you are typing in lowercase. In fact, if you want to be happy in coding, because usually ni ngumu mtu kumbuka ulikuwa umeweka lowercase ama uppercase. Just keep everything in lowercase for your files and for your folders, unless you are doing something like React that needs camel case type of convention when you are doing your files. So unaweza fungua hiyo project kwa VS Code ama Sublime Text. Jaribu. Sijui kama mko na Sublime Text hapo, inasumbuanga kidogo. Enda na VS Code. Hiyo ndo tunaenda. Nope. PowerShell is more for uh, hata we jaribu terminal. Code, code space dot. Yeah, yeah, imefungua. So there we are. Create your first file there and trust the project. Good. Close your welcome page. Oh, sawa. Hiyo file iite index.php. Yes. Save. Yes. Yeah. Utaisave under the folder project one. So since we are using VS Code, cannot validate installation could not be found. Use setting PHP validate execute to configure the PHP executable. So unaweza click hapo open settings. Uh, edit. Yes. Okay, kind of really tough to do, but let's try. Enda kwa nini kwa enda kwa file explorer. Rudi nyuma, toka ndani ya htdocs. Scroll kwenda chini. Can you be able to locate sample.executable? Nope, it's a file, it's an executable, it's the process itself. There we go. Samp.exe iko wapi? Hiyo ni samp shell. Scroll kwenda chini. Okay. Ala, sasa sample yenyewe iko wapi? Cha kwanza nione kwangu iko wapi ndio nikwambie. Just a moment. Kuna vitu si lazima tu set up hiyo kitu. Wewe utai set up on your own time. Let's go to VS Code. There, so unaweza funga hiyo settings JSON, funga all the other files back in index.php. So it's something maybe to do or to help you. You could install an extension that PHP IntelliSense. Uh, hapo IntelliSense. Ya kidogo tu tuone. Ndio hii hapo PHP IntelliSense. Is it? Yes, that one. Install that one. So that one will help you like have autocomplete on your PHP project and more of the functions, more of like the way venye inakuonyeshanga when you are doing JavaScript. Yeah. Go to your index file. Tuendelee tu kucode, hiyo itainstall masaa yake. But yeah. So initiate HTML. Oh, before we do the HTML, Briton, tuko pamoja hadi hapo? Okay, yes. Now hit enter. Na title tuko nayo hapo hapo ndani ya body, you could do type anything or PHP project. You could use a heading, use P, whichever. Project. Uh, Close your P, then we save the file. Okay. Haitakupia autocomplete juu IntelliSense hajamaliza kuinstall. Na pia unaona hapo venye umeweka P yako, wewe na shift mko kimoja. Anyway, it will still work. Use, you can use go live. Click hapo go live. Haitafanya, achana nayo. Yeah, haitafanya. So kitu nafanya when you want to view what you have already done, go to the browser. Browser gani unatumia? Sawa. Type in localhost. Oh, sawa, usiandike localhost kikisi tena. Sawa. Ngoja kidogo. Rudi nyuma. There we go. Unaona hiyo kitu yenye nimekupea hapo? Kuna hapo kitu imekuambia C stamp. I want you to copy hiyo ya C kwanza. Hiyo ya chini, hiyo ya Windows. The Windows, hiyo string ya Windows chini. PHP. Windows. Nope, sitaki ucopy kila kitu. Angalia property ya PHP ya Windows. Only Yeah, that one only. Good. Tuende kwa VS Code. Unaweza chukua quote, ya chukua hadi quote. Halafu kisha save. I want you to go to settings. Hapo kwa settings search PHP. Ya mwisho, the last item. Ndio hii hapa wanakuambia PHP executable path. Yeah, paste hapo. Alafu toa hizo quotes, toa quotes. Yes. Go to edit in settings.json. Edit in settings.json. Iko juu, iko juu. Yeah. Click hiyo. Hata ishakuwekea. Oh, chaza hiyo ya juu sasa. Copy hiyo ya chini weke juu. Yeah. Ndio sababu kuedit hiyo settings.json inakuanga shida. Unaona slashes ngapi zimewekwa hapo? Backticks ka 29. Save. So 5 server I believe sasa inaweza kuwa na amani. Hebu reload hiyo page yake. Haita execute PHP juu imekasirika. Okay, hebu jaribu hivyo. But si lazima utumie live server. Tutaenda tu na local. Ehe. Hiyo okay, I believe iko tu sawa. So yeah, so that's how you run your PHP project. Okay, ni venye hivyo umetumia live server. Hebu rudi ingine the other server. Okay, you can open another tab. We do the normal way. Yeah, tumia localhost. Local ni localhost slash project one. Nope. Slash project one. That's a question. So that's the normal way of doing your PHP projects or the normal way of running them. But here you have to like keep refreshing the page. So siko sure kama live server ita connect na SAMP, but I believe the way they have explained there, it's like it does work out of the box without you struggling here and there. So tutajaribu ya PHP hiyo ya live server tuone kama itafanya. Tuende kwa code. So after your paragraph, chini yake open PHP tags. Tuende chini ya paragraph. Uh, less than angle ama yes question mark PHP. There we go. Ndio imeanza kukupea autocomplete. Hit enter. Close those before you start anything else. So how do you close? Enda chini. Enda to the next line. Enda to chini chini. There and hit question mark. Greater than sign. There we go. Ebu, yeah. Hapo ndani echo. So in the PHP tags, that's where you do all your PHP code. Space, uh, andika quotes, PHP works. HP, it's two words, PHP works. Okay, hello world in PHP. Alafu mwisho wake unafaa uweke semicolon. So in most lines or in each line of PHP, you need to close it with a semicolon. Save. Hebu tuende kwa nini tuone kama itakuwa tutaangalia tu ya kwanza itakuwa ni hiyo live server. If it works then we shall be using it. Ah, it does work. So you'll be using VS Code to have this kind of auto auto refresh without you refreshing. And hiyo ya mwisho, hiyo you have to refresh manually. So use VS Code, or if you want to go the hard way, go Sublime Text, go reloading way. Yeah. So I believe we are together up to that point. Then I'll take over from there. Okay. So that is the way you do it on Windows. I tulienda na hiyo so that if you are on Windows you can go that way. If you are with me, you can go this way. So for my project, I'm going to run localhost to this. Hata sikumbuki ilikuwa nini. Kwanza niangalie ilikuwa nini hapa bwana. So htdocs lsd project sort of. Yeah, lsd project. lsd project. Learning PHP. So mine yangu pia inafanya. So whichever the folder name una pass in hapa kwa htdocs, that's where your project lies. So that means even if you are coding WordPress offline, that's where you will be putting your WordPress projects. For example, this one is a WordPress project. So that's where you put it. Otherwise, let's continue. Hata nilifunga hii kitu yangu. Um, open with this, open with that. Okay, so that's where we were. So I'll just do question mark PHP, close my PHP. So hapa itabidi you format your work, but with the other side you won't be doing all this echo PHP works. Anyway, by the last time, this is what we were able to do. Like we were able to echo a few things out, and we said there are many ways of printing things to the browser. So you could be using echo. You can use print. PHP works with print. You could use printf for those from the C system. PHP works with printf. You could also use vardamp. This one is used for dumping objects. Let me try with just a string. So if I do that, everything is just working the way it should work. So for printf, okay, let me add breakpoints. The good thing here is that I can just write HTML directly here. So that's a HTML tag break. So everything is on its own line. So this one is for echo, the normal console.log. PHP works with the print. This one, I'm not sure when it will be used or where it's being used with its companion here, printf, but they do print out some things. And lastly, we have vardamp for printing out objects. So for this case, you see vardamp, even if I did print out a string, that is dumping object, it has also went ahead and counted the length of that string and given me the data type before printing out the string itself into the quotes. So vardamp is good for printing objects. For example, let's do an object. So you can just say $ user equals to array. So I'm going to do just an associative array here like that, and I have a name, Dalmas, and maybe email. Then to print this, I'm just going to print it out here. So I'll just echo here a break. and then var dump the user. So you will notice that's the only way you can print this information na ionekane ilivyo, for you to see the information the way it is. This is called an associative array, an array with named keys, not just integers. So that's an named key. If I were to just use echo to print out my user, so let me just do the same. Echo, I'm going to first do the break. And one might be asking, why am I doing the break like this? I've been recording React a lot, so like you have to close every tag. So I'm going to echo the user here like that. So if I do that, you'll notice it's just saying array. So whenever you want to print an array or an object the way it is for you to see its values, then it's best if you print it out using, you echo it or print it out using var dump. Echo will just do that. I don't know what print and printf will do. Print, let's just see. Print does the same as echo, and what happened there? Printf just disappeared. Uh, did it really print anything out? Let me comment out the other one. Let me comment out this one. Right. So printf does not work with this sort of arrays or objects. So we did cover about functions. So the normal functions that we do in JavaScript, they are kind of in here, except in this case, I said there are two ways of declaring your variables or your constants. In this case, you can use the dollar sign with the variable name, and when you are calling it, you have to use dollar sign variable name. That's for a variable, but for a constant, you just do const. Uh, that's the constant, for example, pi. Then you pass in the value. So that's for constants, and the constants, as you know, you cannot reassign constants. Uh, Yeah, you cannot reassign constants. They will result into sort of errors. And it's good that you continue checking your project for any sort of errors because we don't have any error handling strategy at this particular point. So this error is raised because I'm trying to reassign pi to a new value. It's a constant. But if I were to reassign the user to something else, so for example, if I were to do, and the reassigning here, I have to do like dollar sign user. If I were to do that, we won't be having the same error because this is just, otherwise it's just printing the pi because it's just a variable. It can be reassigned, it can be given a new value anytime, anywhere. So let me touch a bit about functions. So how do you write functions? In JavaScript, it's the same function, the function name, add two numbers. And in this case, we can tell that this function takes in two parameters, num1 and another parameter that is num2. Then at the end, it's going to return, or let's just echo something out. Echo, so just break, we'll just echo out a break, and I'll echo another one at the end. Then hapa katikati just echo the value, the sum. So just do the sum of the two, the sum of, so just do sign num1 and num2, and just do that instead of passing in this is. So you can just say here, can I do that? I'm not sure. Just a moment. I need to call this function. So I say add two numbers and I pass in the first number as 1 and the second number as 2. So let's see what it will do. Yes, internal server error. I'm guessing things here. So I better not guess by just saying dollar sign result equals to this, and I just do the result here. There we go. So the sum of 1 and 2 is 3. So that's about functions. You can literally do all the logic that you want to do here till you get to what you want. Classes work kind of the same. Class car, and in this car, I'm not really used to these things. Can I do a constructor here? So for this one, I'm going to do a construct, maybe the car name, and I'm going to do this dot car name equals to the car name that I passed from above. Then I can just say function get car name. Just I'm going to echo it out. So I'll just copy my echoes from there and say the car name is dollar sign this dot car name. So let's try to do this car. So dollar sign car equals new car, and this car takes in a variable. For example, hapa mtanisamia, sijuangi hizi majina. Then I can just say dollar sign car, and I'm going to call the get car name function, or call the car name function. Will you work? Nope. I have no idea. Let's go steal something from here. W3 schools. PHP. Yeah, kila kitu tu ni JavaScript. There is not much like a difference. Fruit. Public name. Oh, I did dot. I need to use this. Iko tu zake. Ah, kidogo tu nione mbona hapa ninapitwa kupitwa. Instance of seriously, ni hivyo imeisha. Okay, this the thing. Oh, right. So whenever I declare my function or my constructor, then I need to I need to also call it as a function. So like that. And whenever I need to declare some of these moving things, for example, the kernel, then I need to actually declare them as maybe public or private, depending on your use case. So like that, so that I can be able to reassign them here using the so-called arrow function like that. It's not the arrow function, but rather the arrow-like structure. Yeah. So then here I need to call like that, then I do that. This kernel, then here when I need to call the function, I'll definitely need to call using that one. Is that right? Return this name, echo get name. Okay, let's see what we have. Yes, the car name is Toyota. So like JavaScript, okay, unlike JavaScript you don't have like to declare the car properties on top of here. But for this, you might need to declare them before you use them. Maybe we can just try the something else without declaring the variable up on top of here, or the property. This is actually a property without using it. Speed equals to, maybe we pass in here the speed, $ speed, and for that you can just say equals to the speed. Let's see whether it can print the speed also. I'm just going to repeat that one hapo chini, then get car speed and break the car speed is this speed. Then I can just call the same here using get car speed. Yes, a question. Okay, okay, I'll get back to your question in a moment. But you noticed that it has just like vanished, everything has failed to work, meaning like you can't like do this without really either doing a public or doing a private there, like that. So you have like to have them. Oh, not working. Oh, I didn't pass in the speed. I say 80. Okay, could that be the reason as to why it was not working? Oh, actually it works without even you declaring it. So sometimes you can declare, sometimes you don't have to declare. But if you are using something like PHP Storm, it might force you to declare your properties. So what's the work of this arrow function here? So if you recall in let me dump out this car first. So var dump the car. So you will notice saying it's an object car one two. The car name is a string with the length of six. Then the name is Toyota and this is an int 80. So the work of the arrow is like to obtain specific properties from this given object. So in JavaScript, the way we used to do it is, let me just do a script here quickly. So in JavaScript, let's say we had a user here as an object. The name was a name. Email is email at gmail.com, and maybe the phone is whatever the phone number is. So let's say that's what you had in JavaScript. For you to read the name of this user, you were to call user.name, and it will just give you or return you console.log user.name. It will quickly return you the name of the user. So just open the console. There you see the name. If I wanted the email, I could call user.email. Reload the page, and I notice I have my email. So for PHP, you don't use the dot notation. We use this arrow notation. Let me call it. I don't know its correct name. So you use that dash and greater than sign. Zikiwa zimeshikana, otherwise don't space them. They will turn out to be something else like that. And usually naonanga watu wanaiandika zikiwa tu zimeshikana hivyo. It's like a dot notation. So hata hapo huwezi separate hivi, though it will just work. So let me see. Yeah, it will just work, but itaonekana weird. So there are no spaces. So that's why I did it like zikiwa zimeshikana hivyo. Another question. Okay. So that's about classes in this in PHP, and you and you can sauti imeswim. And you can use the classes to do your own specific objects. I don't know whether they are like these curl braces things. Let me confirm from this whether we can do sort of nope, we can't do like the whatever we did here. So PHP utafanya vitu kama hizi. Let me just paste it somewhere. It failed, I think. So let me do a print. Nope, let's use var dump the $sign user. Reload the page. There we are with our 500. So I've not really learned about catching those errors, but with the time we shall learn how to catch errors instead of like having them like this. So you don't really need your website failing up like that. You need to catch that 500 internal server error, process it, and give the user some visible output yenye anaweza ona aseme okay, this error is caused by this, or this is the cause of the error. So you can't do sort of this in PHP. Nope. Maybe you use classes, or you use the so-called associative arrays like this one. So if I wanted to read the age of this user, then I can simply say hapa chini nitasema, let me copy my break. Break na huku katikati I will just echo $user age. Can that one work? Let's see. What is it really working? Nope, it's not. Uh-oh. Yeah, that one works. So you can use an associative array like this. An associative array means an array with the key value pairs. It's like the normal object that we use here, key with a value, but in this case you have to declare it using the array keyword, then age. Now you use the arrow function. The arrow, you use an arrow that's equal sign and greater than sign, then you pass in the value that you want to pass in, like that. So let's do something that can make all this come together, maybe, so that is kind of kitu yenye inakaa venye iko. So for this case we are going to use forms to do just a simple arithmetic, that's addition of numbers, and we are going to use our add two numbers function here to do the thing. So we'll just work nje ya my PHP tags. I'm going to do a form, and for my form I'm going to have a submit button. Let's do div. Let's do a button here. For the button I'm going to say add. I'm going to do another div.input. Oh, that is for the other guy. Inputs. Close my div. Go below and say input type number, and the name should be num1, and that's it. Then I do another input. This should have a name of num2. So if you recall well, I said hapo nyuma nilisemanga that we need to use these names or the name attributes. This name attribute has its work. So this is where they are being used when you want to interact with a backend directly using forms. So each form, I said also it has an action, and in this case I can just call PHP. I can do PHP, close PHP, and I call the super global itself. How is this even called? I'm not going to struggle, so I'll just do a slash there. I'll talk about the PHP self, but for now, if I do just a slash or I just do like that, action without any value there, it's going to, this page is going to this form. Then the next thing I'm going to do here is write the method. So we have two methods of submitting forms. The first one is the get method, and by default forms have a get method. That is, if I were to save this form, come here and reload the page, and I do 1 and I do here 6, I add, you will notice the num1 is on the URL here, and num2 is on the URL with 6. So for this case, that's where you find such like things happening. But in most forms, you won't see them using the browser or the URL to submit their forms. It's not a good idea. In terms of security, that's worse. So we'll use a different method called post. But we shall talk about post method in a moment. For now, let's just worry about the get method so that we see whether it works. So where do we do the result? So I'll just do the result hapa chini tu, div.result. Need to write this thing in the right order. Result, then close it. Here's where I'm going to write my result. So if you recall well, I did write a function here called add two numbers, but to use such a function, I need to place it in a place that can be accessed by PHP, or the normal way, like it has to be accessed before I use it. So I'll just move this function somewhere else, but within the same file, hapa juu tu, or I can just do it above or outside the tags there. So I can just do PHP, and I do my function there. Let me confirm whether it's still working or it's failing. Yeah, it's still working. So what I need to do here in the result div, I need to run PHP code. Then I can just do another PHP tag. So this will help you maybe notice the difference between the two. So I'm going to do here $num1. Did I ever have num1? Nope, I didn't. Equals to $_get, and I'm going to get something called num1. Num1. I'll do the same for num2. That is num2 like that. Then I'm going to say echo the result of, okay, is it a must I write a sum? I can just do sum $num1 plus $num2 equals to $result. So let me call this res because I've already declared result. There's no harm. Not there. Need to return the semicolon. Do here result. And I need to now get the result. $result equals to num1 plus num2. So there we are. So if I refresh this page, you will notice saying sum 1 plus 6. Okay, let me write some English a bit. A sum of. So it's going to say sum of 1 plus 6 equals to 7. It's because those are the values that I did pass in here. So if I were to change this to 13 and say 5 and I click add, it's going to do sum of 13 plus 5 equals to 18. But where is it getting the 13 plus 5? Somebody who is ready to help me answer that? Tuko pamoja ama network imepotea kwangu? So where do we get the 13 plus 5 from? Or the 13 and 5 from? Anybody wanna give it a try? Uh, yeah, so far we are using only this. Yes. Sasa hapa tunatoa wapi hiyo 13 plus 5? Hapo unaona kuna 13 plus 5 hivi watu reload iko tu. Yeah, okay. Kuna okay. So anyways, everything is coming from the URL, guys. So this is where we talk about the PHP globals. PHP has a number of super globals or super global variables. There are about 7 in number. So all these globals help you like interact with the PHP environment in a more easier way. So I'll come back here to explain what's happening, but let's just take a quick look into, can I find globals? Yes, super globals. There we go. So here we have the globals. We have the server as the first one. We have globals. Globals is the first one. We have server. Robin may be mute or somebody's giving me. Okay, it's Jeremy. There. So we have the server, we have the request, we have post, we have get, we have files, env, cookie, and session. So these are the global PHP variables that can help you quickly interact with the PHP or work around PHP and the server HTML and CSS JavaScript together in a more easier way. So is there an explanation of them? Which means that they are always accessible regardless of the scope and you can access them from any function, class or file without having to do anything special. Yes. So you can access each of these files from anywhere within your project structure or these variables from anywhere within your project structure. And currently we are using one of them. That's the PHP superglobal get. It's written $_ get. So whatever we were doing here is that I went ahead because I submitted this form using the get method. I can say, okay, I have get there, then I can get the values from the navigation bar or from the URL and compute them down. So that's what I did. So the moment I change here number 14, I do here maybe 6, you'll expect 14 plus 6 equals to 20. So if I do that, they are automatically appended to the URL, and this URL is kind of refreshed down only to replace with the specific key values. Key, for example, num1 with the 14. So num1 in this case is taken from the name attribute here. So that's why I said the name has a special role to play when you are doing forms. Very critical. So, but when we were doing JavaScript, we were doing IDs. For example, I could say here num1 and I do another ID here, maybe num2. Then the way I could be able to render the result, then I can be able to say I have my class result there. Then in my JavaScript code, I can just say, um, so I can ahead to listen to the form submission, stop its propagation. So let's just do that in fact. So the form equals to document dot get element by ID form. So I said here you could do semicolon is or not a must. Const num1 equals to document. See, it will be the same story. So I copy this and paste it there. I change this one to num1. I do the same for num2. And so how can I listen for the form? Of let me do one more for the result. Document.get element query selector dot result, like that. So how can I like compute the sum here? So what I could do here is go to the form, add an event listener, like that. And in this case, I'm going to listen for any event that is going to submit this form, and that's the event here. So you can just do that, an arrow function. Then I say event dot prevent default. So that's the first step. Then the next step I could do is like read the values. So let val1 equals to num1 dot value. Let val2, in fact I don't need to use this convolution. I do here num2 dot value. Then I can just say result dot inner html equals to val1 plus val2. So that's what I could do with the JavaScript. So let me just reload the page, do year 13, do year 5, or else that. Oh, it's still like refreshing the entire page. It's because we don't have the form by default. I need to add an ID to the form itself. ID form, like that. I refresh the page, then I do that 12, maybe 2. So there's something else happening here. So it has taken 12 yes and 2 yes, and automatically it has like 122 deep. Imeifanya tu hapo chini ikaweka 122. So maybe somebody who could give us a reason as to where it has kind of added 12 plus 2 manually, like 1 to 2. Who can recall from the JavaScript like the data types or how data types work? It cuts across all languages, in fact. How data types work. Yes. Okay. So let's just proceed. So what happens here is that the moment I did here 12, of course, this is of type number and this is a type number, and I did add. So if I were to do here plus 22, it will be 1222. It's because they are no longer numbers. And in JavaScript, the way we do concatenate strings is using the plus notation. That's one of the ways. So I could concatenate two strings or add two strings together using the plus notation. So let's just quickly do that one as an illustration. So you can just say like the exact thing here, and say I just say Dalmas plus Ogembo. So if I do that one, you will notice here it's going to type in or to pass in Dalmas Ogembo. I need to just kind of add a space manually. So I'll just do the space like that. So if I do that one, it only may concatenate the two strings together. It's the same thing happening. So whenever it meets two strings, not that it ignores them as they are strings, it just like puts them together. So for this case, our inputs here, besides them being numbers, they are still strings when JavaScript is trying to read them. So actually, the main reason as to where here we have input type number is just to that's like a check to make sure the user enters a number instead of just a string. Then I can go ahead here where I'm trying to add them. Instead of just adding them the way they are, I can just say pass int, and also I also pass int here. So if I do that one, refresh the page, do here 12, do here maybe my 2, so it will write 14. It's because now I have converted them from strings to numbers. So with JavaScript okay, data type conversion or converting between different data types, it's not really difficult. Just for objects, you can just pass JSON dot pass them to strings, and from strings for numbers and strings, just pass int or pass float depending on the kind of number that you have. Yes, so why do I say pass float? So if I did here 12.3 plus 2, you will notice it's saying please send a valid value. The two nearest the two nearest valid values are 12 and 13. I need to convert this one to take in decimals. How do one do that? Uh, I'm going to do a step, and I'm going to do a step of 0.02 like that. Okay, let me just maybe do 0.1 even. Refresh the page, pass in 12.3 plus 2. This one is weird. Just a moment, I need to also learn this one. I have never encountered such an error. HTML input, type numbers, pass or enter floating float, float value. For any floating point type number is supported, you can use anything. Na niulize mbona basi na fail? Whichever. Mean 5, step 5, step 60, step. I did use step. Okay. They are saying we do step equals to any. Like that, just any. That's funny. And that's not the answer I'm looking for. So we go with this one. ID total amount, is there any floating? It has a step. So I did try to do 0.01, kind of failing all through. Na huyu alienda akacopy from the other side akakuja akapaste hapa, because that's the exact thing amefanya huko. Yeah, actually I'll copy. They're saying we use a step of 0.001, but I'm trying to do that one, it's not working. So let me try 0.1, or am I missing something? Type number, step, that one. Refresh the page, I do 12.3. Okay. We siwasie kesho tujue venye tuna solve hii, how to enter point numbers or decimal numbers in your type number input. Yes, anyways, let me just go back here and convert this to a text for now. Oh, I was editing the wrong side. Mungu saidia. Ni hapa juu ndo nilikuwa nafaa kuedit, si hapo chini. I refresh this, now this one can take point number. So we expect a 14 of a 24.6. So let's try, but we are only getting 24. So that's why I said if you are expecting decimal point numbers, then you need to use the right conversion function to convert between your two numbers. That is, instead of passing int, you use a function called pass float. This one will take care of your decimal points. So I'll just copy that, refresh the page, paste, and add. Then I will be able to get my exact value that I expect. So that's 24.6. So in most of your arithmetic values, or your math works, you have to use sort of floats instead of just ints, because if you use int, it's going to automatically convert it to the nearest or around it off. So just change this one to pass int. So if I do 12.6, then with a 12.3, actually it does the flow the same. It just goes down the nearest in the other opposite direction, not upwards. So if you recall from the math or from mathematics is that we had math, we had delay round up and round down, depending on the position. But for this one, it's rounding down, not upwards. Anyways, any questions about dealing with the forms in PHP? I just need the JavaScript way to explain this point better. Yes, yes, yes. Next question. So what I did here is that with JavaScript, hii ndio shida ya kufunza vitu mbili. So, with JavaScript, I added a form ID here, and I said I'm going to submit it using JavaScript, and this is what I could have done. Ni mashini ya nani inapiga nduru? Kuna mashini inarudisha echo this other side. Okay, ama ni yangu. Okay, thank you. So with the JavaScript is that I could have done this way if I were to use or submit this form using JavaScript. You see, there's a lot more of things that I needed to do for it, like now to work the exact way I wanted. First, select the form from the DOM. This is the form here using the ID. That's document.getElement by ID form. Next, select the two inputs, num1 and num2, using their IDs. That is ID num1 and ID num2. Then lastly, I did select the result. That is this result div here using query selector dot result like that. Then I need to just get rid of this. It's not a must. Then I went ahead to listen for the form. Now hapa ni kungoja form ikae submitted. So the moment I listened for the submit event, that is form.add event listener submit, this event now, I went ahead and prevented its default behavior. And if you may recall, the default behavior of the form is to reload the page or submit it to this URL given here. Hii URL yenye imepass in kwa action. So that the action is going to, okay, this page or this URL that you have passed in here as your form action is going to process the form. And in this case, I said, if you leave it blank, this form is going to be submitted to the same page or to this specific file, and it will be kind of taken care of this page. Anyways, so I did prevent that default behavior of the form. Refresh the page, submit to a given URL. Then I went ahead, got the values from the two inputs using the dot value property. After that, I went ahead and said result.innerHTML. Now, changing the inner HTML of this result element or converting it everything or replacing whichever that is here with my new result. That's the result of the two, okay, the two numbers added together. So that's for JavaScript. But for PHP, you don't have like to do this. So you can just comment that one out. And I go back here and I say, so if, and this is kind of easier than doing all this stuff here. In fact, I just used the get method in this case. So with the get method, I did do your action for this specific file, like suku pass in here, anything else. Then the method I did get. What get does, it just takes all the names here or the values of these inputs with their names na inaziweka kwa URL. It pushes them to the URL here. So if I do 12.6 plus 12.3, then add, okay, let me refresh this page. If I did like that and I did like that and refresh, then you will notice saying the sum of 12 plus 21 equals to that 3. It's because those are the ones that I passed in as num1's value was 12. There, maybe I do now 10, and then num2 value was 21. Maybe I do here 5. So if I do that, you'll notice saying 10 plus 5 equals to 15. Now this one is being processed in the normal way forms are being are in the default behavior of processing forms. But if you don't want to use the get method, that is if you want to hide the values of num1 and num2, then it's best that you use another method called post method. Those are the two common methods used with forms, get and post. Currently, we have the third method called is it a model, I believe, but that one is for closing models and opening models. I'll just leave that one out. Let's just go with the two main methods, get and post. So what post does, I can't really read the values using the get method or the get super global. So if I delete that one, refresh, the sum of anything, anyway, it's everything zero, and it's going to just say zero because it didn't get the two values. But for this case, then I can just convert this one from get and they say post. So if I refresh the page and maybe I do 10 and I do 20, you'll notice saying 10 plus 20 equals to 30. But in this case, they are not here. They have not been appended to the URL. That's the main difference between get and the post. So whenever you have a login form, a sign up form, any other form in the page, they use post method. But whenever you just have something like to do with just the user's view only, then you can decide to use the get method. But it's not common. It's not common. It's common, yes, but it's not like widely used to do forms because of security purposes. Because if you had a login page, for example, let's just quickly do a login page here using the same. I do that one and I say here login. Maybe that's my login. I change this one from moment I get rid of these unnecessary things here. The ID also, I change the method here to get. I do here text. Hapa chini nifanye password. I do here username. Maybe hapa niseme sasa hiyo password again as the name. That way the name also should be literally unique unless you are dealing with checkboxes and you have checkboxes and radio inputs. So I'm going to refresh this, cancel and do that. So you already see inaniletea hapa root with some password. I even don't know the password. So just do my password there, a random one. So if I hit login, you will notice something weird. The username iko hapo juu na password iko hapo juu. Kuna ile kitu inaitwa hacking from Rovin's point of view. Atakwambia kuna ile over the shoulder. That's part of hacking. Hujui password ya mtu na unajua na nataka kujua, you just know okay, kama I can be able to read the password hapa juu na username, then see I can look over the shoulder na nione hizo vitu zake. Ya kitoka mimi niende kwangu ni log in nifanye hiyo kitu kingine. So maybe something happened to you of the same. If it was over the shoulder hacking, mtu aliangalia hivi ukiweka password yake akasonga nayo. Juu ulikuwa umeiweka ionekane when you are typing into Google. So this part of the shoulder hacking. So that way you will never see things like this happening. So the best way of dealing with this one, we don't use get methods, we use post methods in order to hide that information from anybody who might be looking at your screen na anaweza ona hizo details zako hapo na kuponyoke. So let me just delete them to illustrate the other point. So we have root and I have my password. So if I log in, you will not see them on the URL. Meaning for now I'm secure, like until because I haven't like showed my password. currently I'm just secure. That's the first security point of view when you are doing your projects. Just you develop them as you go on. So post method, kind of a secure method. Yes, it's a secure method, and it also allows for encryption. Get method does not allow for any encryption. Even if you are on HTTPS, that's the secure connection. But post method is into it, so it can help you first hide the information from the URL or from the global scope just to the server itself, directly to the server. So kind of that's how it works. So yes, any questions so far? I don't know what time we have. Okay, we are out of our time. So if there are no questions, then I believe the next thing we are going to do, that's purely tomorrow. Hatujafanya PHP sana, so maybe I go back here, go through PHP na tutakuwa kimoja, si ndio? Yeah, maybe I'll just so PHP pia iko sort of wide. You will only learn a few things, but the rest you have to do like do practice then. But so far kutoka hapa juu from the start up to this point or up to here, up to PHP super globals, we are good. I didn't cover regex in JavaScript. So the regex is the same all through. There's nothing different. Though for PHP, it kind of comes with a few functions for regex that can help you quickly do with regex. And for your information, regex, okay, or the so-called regular expressions, ni zile za kumake sure the input somebody enters. For example, here, if you said you wanted an email, it should specifically be having at and at least some letters or numbers, then a dot, maybe some letters or numbers, then a dot, and maybe the last one should be, I believe, just letters. The way, for example, if I were to do email at gmail.com, so regex will help you like check this is an email entered. It's not just a random thing. So that's the work of regex. The Yeah, that's one of it. And the other way you can use regex, it might be used in databases, but not all databases. MySQL does not use, but something like a Postgres database might be using regex because it has something called full text search. It can search both ways. Inaweza ikasearch kutoka nyuma kwenda mbele na mbele kwenda nyuma. Anyway, that's for the databases na hatujafika hapo. It's good to just know about it maybe. Anyways, so yes, unakuselektia kila kitu. Oh, yeah, so okay, query selector kazi yake. Oh, mm. So actually hapa nilitumia query selector. We have the other method query selector all that could select everything that has this class. For this one, query selector will only select a single class. The first one it meets in the DOM. That is, if dot result ilikuwa hapa na ya pili iko hapa chini, itaselect tu ya kwanza iachane na ya pili. Uh, so DOM, what's the DOM? So that's the document object mapper. This is weird. So what's DOM? So DOM is the document object mapper. Oh, I'm sorry. Robin, umelala klasi bwana nikichoma. Yeah. So okay, let me finish this before you read your stuff. Yeah, it's called the document object model. So HTML DOM ni hizo vitu tu zote zenye unajua. You already know it. That is the HTML, the doc type, HTML, head, meta. In short, now we are specifically talking about anything that is within the body, but anyway, within this document. So you can say index.php is a single document. The best explanation is index.html. You can say index.html is the document, like that's a document. And the model is whichever the tags that are there. The document itself, the root element, that's HTML, the head element, and the body element, those are the main children of HTML. Then in the head, you could do the title and meta and the rest. And in the body, you could do the rest of the elements that you want. In short, the DOM is what you already know. That's the HTML thing that you write. That's the DOM. So DOM is more of the entire document. So when you are listening to a single element or to a single input, that's an element. You are just listening to an element, but based on the DOM activities. Yes. Anyway, so activities in this case means on how like everything is working, whatever somebody has done on the page, the events that are happening on the page. So let's say somebody is hovering over some word or selecting some text. That's an activity, and in fact, you can be able to listen to everything, including clicks, including selecting, including somebody trying to close this page, including everything. So somebody who did talk about this is anaitwaje, Jeremy. Jeremy was saying MailChimp gives you a lot of statistics about the email they helped you send. So they listen to each input or they listen to each activity in that email. Mtu akienda huko akikliki button, they register that in their database. Akiselect kitu, they register that. Then they give you back about how your email is doing. So that's the same thing that Google does to understand us. So unasikianga tu Google iko kila kona. Kazi yake ni inakuja kwa website inasikiza. Mtu ukikliki hapa, umekuja hapa hivi ukaangalia ama you were here, alafu kidogo kidogo ukaona ad ya laptops, ukakliki hapo, be sure to receive a lot of the same kind of ads. Ukiona ad in, yeah, in all, so they listen for, yeah, it can just know that automatically out of the box. Ina listen for all those elements, inaenda ina using machine learning and data science, bot yenyewe their crawler learns and it knows okay, huyu si mtu, huyu ni kitu ingine. So yep. So there are a lot of events you could listen to. I said there are several. There are very many. So I believe we are good. Another question?